What follows is for news and entertainment purposes only. Any use of the forthcoming information in violation of any federal, state, or local law is prohibited. Mike North, you are on fire.
You know anybody else that good?
No.
No, they'll tell you they are. They may think they are, but we're documented every single week. The eye is on us.
Right.
And I ain't talking about the eye of CBS, the public eye. The first feeling I got when I won a bet was elation. The worst feeling was when I lost a bet and I wanted to jump off a balcony.
Give me a quick betting tip.
Yeah, do win and don't lose, but usually it doesn't always work out that way. How many times you heard this? I'm going to Vegas. I go, how'd you do? Well, if I lost $4,000, but you go there to have fun. No, you go there to win. And that's what's wrong with people. They have the negative mentality in anything they do, including sports, before they even lay the bet down. So you got to be positive. Vegas Scores and Odds is the landing place that gave me an opportunity to handicap. They let me show what I could do, and there's packages, there's free picks. What does Vegas Scores and Odds do when you perform? They reward you, and they take care of you, and that's why we're ready to do this show.
Vegas Scores and Odds presents the Mike North Advantage, and it begins right now. That's right, the Mike North Advantage starts right now. I am Aldo Gandia, Mike's wingman, and welcome to the Wednesday version of the Advantage, brought to you by VegasScoresandOdds.com. We've got another fun show for you today. We've got Mike's 3 free picks for you for tonight, which is why we're coming to you live on Mixlr at 3 p.m. Central. And we're going to talk about that NBA draft lottery. Oh my goodness, the poor Chicago Bulls. We've got lots to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about Manny Machado and Chris Sale. Also, we're going to talk about those Cubs and lots more. Let me bring in the man, the myth, the legend, Mike North. How are you, my friend?
Aldo, everything's good. I can't believe it. I turned on the TV. I see you last night. It's unbelievable. You had the Bear Barroom shirt on, Jarrett Payton, and you guys kibitzing about the Bears. And then I'm winning my bets. I go 2-0 on Vegas Scores and Odds last night. I'm 19-9 overall on the show. I mean, pinch me. I'm 85 games over 500 on Vegas Scores and Odds. Are you kidding me? I mean, we got a brand new frontier here, ladies and gentlemen. And on the odds couple, we went 4-3, and I was 3-2 of that. I mean, come on, everything's going well. And then I turn you on. You're breaking down the Bears as good as anybody can last night, so you had a good time, huh?
I did have a good time, and I got to give it out to Larry Hawley, the producer over at WGN, who invited me on, and also to Jarrett Payton, who just made me feel so at home. I mean, when I signed in and they said, yeah, we got a guy here at the front door, who was it that greeted me at the door? He came all the way to greet me, Jarrett Payton himself, so he put me at ease right away. So it was a good time, and I'm glad that I didn't let you or anyone else at the bar room down.
Well, then Jarrett's a good kid, number one. I mean, he's doing a good job over there. Mm-hmm. And also, I just look at your Twitter handle because, we're doing this show live right now, so we can be out in time for the betting games tonight. I got 3 hot ones. What else is new? What else is new? You turn on the faucet, the water goes on. You get in the car, hopefully your car turns on. And then you just turn on the show, and I give you winners. But then I got to see this disturbing picture of Aldo Gandia, who could have been, he's my buddy, but seriously, from the Twitter picture I'm looking at, I think Tony Montana henchman. That's all I'm going to tell you. To be honest with you. A very menacing picture, the sunglasses. You're in some sort of clothing store looking for luggage or something. There's people. There's a cash register, I think. I don't know. It's very nice. It's very nice. You changed it.
I am actually wearing the underwear I purchased at that store right now.
For the 3rd straight day.
I think it's 2 or 3. Yeah, something like that.
Oh, don't you hate when you are too lazy to change for a couple days? And you don't shower maybe for a couple days because you don't go out.
Yeah.
You do the Howard Hughes. You live like an animal for 2-3 days. Like, you let the fingernails grow a little bit. Come on now.
That's exactly right. When you work from home and you're cut off from society, yeah.
And this guy that tells me he showers every day, first of all, he's lying. And second, he ain't no friend of mine. You can't shower every day. Stop. It's a demand.
Oh, that is hilarious. All right.
It's a demand.
You mentioned that you went 2-0 yesterday, and I was on the sports feed on CLTV, so it was a good day all around, except for when this happened.
The 7th pick belongs to the Chicago Bulls.
Wow. So we know where Chicago will be drafting now.
Wow.
How could it get any worse for this franchise? They fall all the way to 7th when they should have at least had the 4th pick. They had the 4th worst record. Oh my gosh, Mike. I bet in my bones, I know that you expected that to happen, right?
Well, of course I did. They got the bad karma. I've been saying it for years. You know, you can only screw over so many people. You can only run so inefficiently for so long, and then it's going to catch up to you. Karma. Believe me what, you don't believe in karma? There's a thing called karma, folks. And anything or anybody that is successful knows it. Mm-hmm. That's why, here, look, Horace Grant, here was my first impression was, the 7th pick, let's draft Horace again. Just draft him and put him in uniform, because I'd rather have Horace Grant than whoever the hell we're going to get. Believe me when I tell you this. I don't give a damn if he's 50, 60 years. I don't even know how old Horace is. Put him in uniform. Get him out of retirement. Get Scotty out of retirement, for God's sake. Let's go. Let's give it another shot.
Well, John Paxson did try to put a good face on it. This is what he told the media afterwards.
Hey, look, we're disappointed too. But there's, like I said, there's luck involved, and we didn't have the luck tonight. But I stay committed, along with my staff, to get this right. Again, we're going to add another good player in this draft. We're going to go out and try to spend some money in free agency where we add some vets that help our team. So, get over the disappointment quickly because you got a lot of work to do.
Boy, sounds like a guy who's a dead man walking, like in that movie.
The last time Paxson had any luck, Christ was a child. Okay? My God. You want, first of all, if he's at the crap table, walk on the other side and go against him. He has no luck because they destroyed their luck with bad karma. People don't believe in it. Reinsdorf has a dark cloud hanging over that both organizations now. Last year, they lost 25% of their TV audience. It's not going to get any better. And believe me when I tell you this, I've never talked to you about some of the other people that have influenced me, Aldo. Chuck Swirsky. I remember Chuck when he was at WDAI. I remember when he did his show at a place called Buffoons over on Irving Park in Lincoln. And what an entertainer he was. And then he wanted to become a broadcaster. He changed up. He found a religion, I believe. He's a very, I think, religious guy. I follow him on Twitter. He follows me. But when you hear Chuck say, hey, everybody, just think, with the 7th pick, we are going to get a player to put in the rotation. And with all due respect to Chuck, who does a great job promoting the Bulls, believe me, folks, in the darkest of times, he's the guy that's trying to find some silver lining. Believe me when I tell you this. That's not what you want to hear, number one. And who are you going to get? Like I said today on Twitter, Denzel Valentine? Are you going to get some of these other jokers that we've drafted that have never come to fruition? I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
The 7th pick is like a death knell. Paxson wanted at least the top 3. That's what they wanted. They didn't get that. They didn't even get the top 6.
Oh my goodness, it's unbelievable. Now you say you don't want to hear anyone shining a good light on this. Paxson did try to do that when he said the following.
My mind immediately went to the fact that 3 of the top 4 are going out west. So and New York didn't get number 1. So that's something in our favor.
Well, I guess
everybody else is going to be weaker, hopefully. So our weakness can be a little bit stronger than some of these other teams. Now, are you kidding me? He's looking for any type of window to save his sorry butt. And I love John, but he's been a disaster.
Yeah.
Period. And anybody in the media, well, most of them have no stones. tell him to his face, and he knows it. He's been a disaster, him and Gar. Period. Period. And if anybody tries to paint a picture, there are a bunch of ass kissers anyway that follow the people that write for the Bulls, and not all. There's a couple that will give you a few, pinches every so often. But what's going on in that organization, it should be in the paper every day. The column is pressuring Paxson. You just don't see it like you used to.
NB Dub in the chat room says, yeah, get them out west. That'll work.
Right. Yeah, LeBron's gone, thank God. Well, what happens if Durant and Kyrie go to New York? And Boston's not going to go anywhere. They'll retool. There's other teams. The Bulls won 22 games, folks. They won 22 games.
Yeah.
And there is not even a light at the end of the tunnel. Believe me when I tell you this. So I wish I could say otherwise. I told Dan Jiggets the other night what a show that was, folks. Don't forget Monday night. We're going to have another big guest Monday night, me and Eldo. We had Dan. And even Dan couldn't paint a picture for the Bulls. He couldn't. And Dan, he's such a Bulls fan. He's a Bears fan, but he's a Bulls fan. And he loves Pax. But he couldn't paint a good picture either. And Dan, it takes a lot to get him to say, hey, things aren't that good.
Kevin in the chat room says if Paxson had any pride, he would resign.
Oh, I listen, he's got maybe bills. I don't know. He won't resign. He's loyal. But he's inefficient. He hasn't gotten it done. And, he's the Marvin Lewis of general managers in the NBA, period.
Well, if you're not going to resign, at least fire the other guy, Gar. It's like...
Look, they got lifetime jobs. Kenny Williams.
It's crazy.
Rick Hahn. We've gone through this before. He runs both terrible organizations the way that he wants them run, which is terribly.
Right. I hate to call for anyone to lose their job, but at a certain point, it's a business, and you got to make a dramatic move to show the fans that, hey, we're not going to keep hitting ourselves, running into a wall. We're going to do things a little different. So we're letting go of Gar, bringing in some new thinking. This just can't continue. And like
he's out of ideas. He never had that many.
Yeah.
You know what? He should give me a call. I could get him back in the playoffs in 2 years. And the people that think that Chris Dunn and Larry Markkinen and Levine, I see it on Twitter. There's people with number one, I try to stay away from people that are debate on the Bulls, that favor the Bulls, when their profile is the Bulls logo. I am terrified of people like that because they got Larry Markkinen, Chris Dunn, and Zach LaVine like Bird Parrish and McHale. They can't stay healthy. I hope Markkinen turns into something. Maybe they all will. I don't think Chris Dunn's an elite guard, and he's undersized. So I just think it's going to be a long time, man, a long time, and they need. It smells so bad, the Bulls front office. It really does. That I don't know if fumigation would even help.
Well, I'll tell you.
I think I'm a little dramatic.
No, Dub in the chat room is saying, preach it, Mike, preach it. So I don't think it's dramatic
but nobody
at all.
else is.
Yeah, really.
Everybody celebrate. Paxson had no answers. Those two cuts there. Folks on the podcast, listen again to the man. He's hoping that other teams become weak to come down to his level. Think about that.
Yeah.
Not for them to improve and go up to the level of the teams in front. That's not the way to think. That's automatically, he'd be fired if I was the owner and I heard him say that. What are you, out of your mind? We don't care who loses who. They're going to replenish anyway. We got to get better.
We do. That is very, very true. All right, you ready to shift gears and talk a little baseball?
Yeah, I got a little dizzy spell there. Hold on. Okay, let me have a little Diet Pepsi with her. Just what I need, more caffeine.
Oh, that's fabulous.
I felt like Huey Long on the steps of the Louisiana State Capitol back in 1948 for a minute. I got her 1938 or 1928.
You got everybody.
Private Crawford.
You got everybody in the chat room going to Google and finding out who that guy is, Huey Long.
Huey Long, man. Badass.
Yes,
hey,
he was.
The badass politicians of the last century, Richard Daley, the first one, Huey Long, believe me. And
He was.
I don't want to move on with the other guy because, there's still stuff going on.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch our attention to baseball. And I'm proud of the way our Chicago White Sox are playing. They lost a tough one yesterday, 9-0. But prior to that, they had won 3 games, 5-2 against the Indians in that opener of that series, and 5-1 against the Blue Jays, 7-2 against the Blue Jays. Now, I think tomorrow they begin a series with the Blue Jays here at Guaranteed Rate Stadium. And you and I have talked about Chris Sale, and you have really gone on the warpath saying, should have never traded Chris Sale. Well, after I learned about this, I had to say, I got to play this for Mike.
Before 2-2. And struck him out. What a brilliant start for Chris Sale. He has struck out the first 6 Rockies.
And he went on to strike out a total of 17 Rockies in 7 innings, a Major League Baseball record for striking out hitters in 7 innings or fewer. And Chris Sale is just, he's been red hot. He just hasn't gotten the hitting that, you know what, Mike? If I wish somebody would do a little studying on Chris Sale, because this guy has been the pitcher who has been less supported by hitters in the history of baseball.
Oh, you're right, Aldo. Great call, because with the White Sox, it was pathetic.
Yes.
I mean, you know what? It's the same thing happens to Kershaw. Look at DeGrom.
Yep.
DeGrom won the Cy Young Award with an ERA of like 1.93, but he was 13-12 because these teams get a sense of security knowing that these guys are lights out. Look, you can say, I don't care if Chris Sale loses 6 more in a row. If he's pitching like this, they're winning the World Series in October.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
If they could start giving him some support, because he could have broken what they're saying in Boston. Now listen to this. The all-time record, is like 2021. They took him out. People wanted him to go for the strikeout record, which he needed 4 more, which he easily could have got.
Yeah, he could have. Now,
so I'm just saying, like I've said, I'd give him Moncada back right now for Chris Sale.
Now,
and I'd give him Eloy Jimenez back for our guy, what's his name, from the Cubs.
Oh.
I always get it.
I got a brain cramp, too. Somebody in the chat room will chip in a second.
Yeah, what the hell's his name? I can't believe I can't remember him. He's had 3-4 great starts
Quintana.
in a row.
Quintana.
Thank you, Dub. Hey, I'm going to tell you something. Quintana and Sale. I'd take Eloy and give him back right now for him, and I'd send Moncada and Kopech, who's damaged goods, and everybody back for Sale. We'd have 2 stud pitchers, and we'd still have a core of a team. My God, they have no pitching except for a few guys that are starting to perk up like Giolito.
Cubs fans in the chat room are saying, you can't have him back.
Right. And you know what? I knew people were getting down. Cub fans were getting down on Quintana, but guess what? That changed real quick.
Yes,
he's pitching good baseball, and he's one of the reasons that they turned this thing around. And we got Moncada and Jimenez for Quintana and Chris Sale. Think about the stupidity of that. And then let's move on, because I don't want to get any dumber while I'm discussing it. My God.
Well, you've got one dissenter in the chat room. Harp4803 says the White Sox wouldn't have won with Chris Sale, period.
Yeah, but you know what? Then build around him.
Right.
Because what Harp is saying is, you know what? They should have traded Kerry Wood in his prime, because they weren't going to win the Cubs with Kerry Wood. The Cub fans would have lost their minds if you did that. You don't trade a Hall of Fame pitcher. Harp never heard the old saying, you don't ever trade quality pitching, ever.
And
they did.
Very true. Now,
and I like Harp.
I like Harp. Harp listens in every show live.
Is it
HARP 4803. He's a great guy from the south side of Chicago.
When I think Harp, I think Harpo Marx. and I think I fall asleep when he plays the harp in the Marx Brothers once. Those used to put me to sleep late at night. Remember that?
I do remember those. But he had one of the greatest scenes in cinema history when he did that fake mirror thing, and he's him and Groucho. Groucho's dressed like Harpo, and they're pretending they're looking at a mirror together. Do you remember that one?
Great.
That was a classic scene.
And so was the when they're on the boat, the cruise.
Oh yes.
And they're in the room, and everybody crowds them. They all fall out. When Margaret Dumont gets in there, it's hilarious. They were great, but the harp put them to sleep. We used to watch WGN-TV New Year's Eve when we were kids. Mm-hmm. The harp would come out, we're finished.
Exactly. I totally agree. Totally agree. All right, I got another clip for you here.
I love clips.
Yeah, these are fun. This is a certain baseball player that the Chicago White Sox were pursuing. But let me play the clip first, and then we'll talk.
In the air to deep left field for Manny Machado. High, deep, and very gone to the back of the pavilion in left field. His 9th home run, and here come the Padres right back in it again. 2-run shot, and it's now 4-3 LA.
I play that clip because Ken Rosenthal of The Atlantic is reporting that Machado, it was believed that he had the highest guaranteed dollar amount from the Padres at $300 million over 10 years, but the White Sox offer could have reached $350 million if all the options were vested and every incentive was reached. Do you think the White Sox made a mistake in just not saying, here's $301 million, all of it guaranteed?
No, and you know what? The Sox, thank God, didn't get him or Bryce Harper, who's hitting .222, and I predicted that. I've been predicting it since Aldo and I have known each other, that he was going to be a bust, and that's what he is.
That's true.
Now, Machado, all right, he hit a homer. Good. He's not worth that kind of money, but the problem was the guaranteed money from San Diego was higher than the White Sox. That was more laden with incentives. Not that $250 million isn't guaranteed, isn't bad, but why didn't the White Sox match the guaranteed money, which they didn't?
Right.
They did. So, and I'm glad they didn't. I don't want those two guys. I don't. It's stupid spending. You know what's not stupid spending? You know what's not stupid spending, my friend Aldo Gandia? Vegas scores and odds. That's what's not stupid spending, man. Pick up the phone, folks. Dial this number, 1-800-808-3419, for a free pick and info for the premier handicapping site in the country, VegasScoresandOdds.com. It's the only site you'll ever need. Got handicappers, my guys, Johnny Anthony, Dennis Macklin, Tony Sacco, Ray Monahan, me, 186 games over 500. The man's afraid to pick up the phone. That's right. He's afraid I'm on the other end to beat him again. Check out the homepage, VegasScoresandOdds.com. For a tote board, check it out with me. I'm all-time second with picks, and I'm catching the other guy. Follow Vegas Scores and Odds on Twitter. Hey, we got to get the Twitter handle up. It's about 504. Let's get to 425 if we can. It's not going to... Hey, the Twitter handle's become more active of late, so it's hard to... You got to bring more followers in. So we're going to get those followers coming there at VSAO. Pick packages ranging from daily to weekly to monthly or the whole year. Dial it up now or later. Just write it down. 1-800-808-3419. 1-800-808-3419. Right now, win with me because I win every day at VegasScoresandOdds.com. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Aldo.
No, don't be sorry. I want to make sure I got this number correct. It's 1-800-808-0319, correct? Did I get it right? No. I knew I messed up.
You're exhausted. You're tired from last night's grueling appearance on CLTV. 1-800-808-3419.
3419. I'm sending it out into the chat room, and make sure you follow Vegas Scores and Odds.
Baby.
That's right. Get that number down. All right, let's shift our attention to.
But we were talking about
Machado.
San Diego. They made a mistake, and Harper, the 13 years. Mm-hmm. Oh my God! Don't give ever that kind of contract. That's just plain stupidity.
That is. crazy. That is now. Let's shift our attention to the Cubs, because the Cubs have a huge challenge ahead of them too. Javi Baez is easily going to be asking over $300 million, maybe close to $400 million. That's going to be quite the contract negotiations with him. But you got to bring him back. Joe Madden says he's the most exciting player in baseball to watch. The Cubs management is probably upset with Madden for saying that, because he sounds like he's raising the price even more. But man, the money in baseball is just unbelievable for free agents.
It is for the elite stars. But I mean, I'm watching this guy Charlie Tilson play center field last night for the White Sox. He makes $500,000. The White Sox are the cheapest organization in sports. They're saying they're rebuilding. What they do is they just try to make profit from their investment, which isn't a bad thing, but you got to make profit from winning, not from losing. So when you see a lot of guys making $500,000, and really they don't have a lot of big skyrocketing salaries, it's a joke, then you get a semi-pro product for the most part. That's playing better. Their new thing is we're better than we were last year. Okay? And the boil on my ass is smaller this year than it was last year. How's that? That's what I heard Stoney and the other guy. Hey, we're better than we were last year. Yeah, that wart on my face is smaller, but it's still a wart.
You know what? I read this article on Fansided.
And then I wonder why nobody calls me.
That's right.
My God. I hear the phone ring and somebody calling me all the time.
Nobody's calling Mike. Oh.
No, nobody calls me. I'm alone. I sit in the corner. That's fine.
Talking about spending money with the White Sox, I read this article in Fansided where they said the White Sox ranked 29th in total pitching for the season with a 5.29 ERA. They should have gone after pitchers like Gio Gonzalez, who ends up with the Brewers. Now, he's only 1-0, but he had a great start against the Chicago Cubs, and the team is 2-1 in his starts. Or a pitcher like Patrick Corbin, another lefty who signed with the Nationals, and he's 3-1 and could have had a better record in his 10 starts if he had gotten better run support. Money should have been spent on starting pitching by the White Sox. Do you agree with this writer from Fansided?
Well, look, I'm not going to disagree because you look what we're doing now. We have no Chris Sale, and the fans who are stupid enough to buy their argument that you can't win with Chris Sale, and they couldn't win, they're defeatists. So you trade a Hall of Famer instead of everybody else? That's like they should have traded Ernie Banks in his prime because they couldn't win with them, the Cubs. That's That's innate thinking and propaganda coming from the Chicago White Sox that some people are gullible enough to believe. Period. And I just find it disturbing that now the pitching's the worst. Well, you deserve to be the worst. You got rid of 2 studs. Seriously. You did. So that's the way it goes. Because Chris Sale didn't want to play for an organization like the Chicago White Sox. He wanted out. And, boy, they gave Boston the pennant.
Yep,
they should give Jerry Reinsdorf a ring.
That is true.
I mean, I'd like to give more positive news. They are better than they are last year. But like I said, I'm not going through it again. You know, big deal. You're still failing. That's a bad message. Just say we got to get better no matter what, because they could lose 20 in a row, and then they wouldn't be as good as they were last year. Doesn't matter.
That is true. I'm still holding on to my prediction. They're going to be a 500 team by the end of the season.
Oh my God! Listen, I'll deliver the shipment tomorrow to your house. It's got morphine, got a little heroin in it, and some Diet Pepsi. My God, Aldo.
Okay.
Oh, you're unbelievable. I love you. That's one of your. Can I save that one?
Yes, absolutely.
Because you know what? Really, if I really believe what you're saying, you're right. They're only 4 under.
That's right.
They could get hot, but not with the 29th ranked pitching staff.
Yeah, that is a problem.
It's amazing they're only 4 under.
Really?
That's a testament to their team and their grittiness and to Renteria.
Yeah. That is
I go in
so
for an
true.
extension if I'm him right now with a pitching staff like that. Their fielding is just okay.
You're right. His agent should get to work right now because it could
My
go
God,
down.
right now go. They should be 10 games under 500. So I salute the Sox for doing what they're doing. But Kenny Williams can't build a team now. I mean, he did it once. He's Lloyd Price. He said, remember Lloyd Price, personality?
Yes.
He was a one-hit wonder. That's it.
How true is that? All right, let's then turn our attention to the Cubs. Speaking of pitching, Jon Lester and Kyle Hendricks, they are red hot in May. A 0.20 ERA over 44 innings pitched, one earned run, 3 walks, and 37 strikeouts. Oh my gosh, that's how you play winning baseball when 2 of your pitchers are throwing like that. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Just unbelievable. Jon Lester, I think, along with Carlton Fisk, I think the 2 best free agent pickups of all time in Chicago. When they picked up Jon Lester from Boston, I thought his best days might be starting to get behind him. He added a World Series to his resume, which gives him a total of 3. He's a bulldog. He knows how to pitch. He's smart. I really enjoy watching the guy. He's fun to pitch. He gets a red ass. Gets hot.
Yep.
He's a competitor. So, I mean, I love these guys. And Kyle Hendricks, I mean, they call him the professor. I understand. He's like Maddox, but Maddox was Maddox. But that being said, he's had some of the top pitch games of the year, and he's a finesse pitcher. So I love them both. They got a good anchor. Darvish is going tonight, I believe. Let's see what happens with him. Yeah, I know. I mean, they're going against, I think, let me just check real because I got my picks for later on. Okay. And I was looking at it, and I saw that the Chicago Cubs aren't that big of an underdog, but they're playing the Reds tonight. You got Darvish against Sonny Gray. What's he pitching against the guy that was in Donnie Brasco?
You know those movie character names.
What the hell, Sonny Red? Sonny Gray? Remember?
Al Pacino, right?
Yeah, 131 minus 131. My gosh, the Reds are favored. The Cubs are 25-14. The Reds are pretty good favorites at minus 131, which tells you what Vegas thinks of you, Darvish.
Interesting. Well, I got to tell you, pardon me, every time I turn on a Cubs game, I am seeing some great defense. And I looked at the stats. Their fielding percentage is among the league's worst, along with the Chicago White Sox for some reason. But I keep seeing plays like this one when I turn on the Cubs.
Scooter Gennett. That's deep. Almora at the fence, and he leaps and he caught it! What a play by Almora!
And so I reached out to my buddy Greg Braggs, who nobody knows about the Cubs more than Greg Braggs here at the bar room. This guy is such a diehard fan. He makes that trip from Indiana to Wrigley Field. I think if he's got season tickets, so he's probably making it almost every home game. And I asked him, give me a list of your top defensive players on the Chicago Cubs. And he started with number 1, Javi, Jason Hayward, number 2, Alberto Almora, who we just heard, number 3, and Rizzo, who won a Gold Glove, number 4, and Willson Contreras, he says, is number 5 and becoming one of the best catchers in all of baseball. Hard to argue with that defensive top 5, don't you think, Mike?
Yeah, it is. It's hard to argue with that. That was around what I would have, too, to be honest with you. Chris Bryant playing first base now, so he's versatile. He plays right field. He plays third base, but he doesn't have a set position. Zobrist is solid no matter what. He's not going to come through with the sparkling play like Javi. Javi is just one of a kind. He's got the quickest hands I've ever seen of a middle infielder in the history of the game, and I've seen them all, from Rory Wills to Ozzie Smith to Cal Ripken. There's nobody that has quicker hands than Javi Baez, ever. And if somebody thinks they know somebody, that we'd love to hear it on the chat room right now. Because I've never seen a man with the hands as quick, not necessarily the best hands, but the quickest hands than Javi Baez.
I can only come up with one name that might be close, and that's Ozzie from the Cardinals. I'm blanking on his last.
Smith.
Ozzie Smith, yes. Perhaps
He wasn't bad. I mean, look, Ozzie Smith's a Hall of Famer, and and it's based on fielding, which is It's hard to make the Hall of Fame that way.
Yep.
But he was the best. He played on AstroTurf, too, which made it even more remarkable. But, yeah, I mean, he's in the team photo, no doubt. But when it comes to snapping that throw from the catcher on a stolen base, snagging a ball that's hit behind him already, and he gets it in his webbing, I go with him right now, Javi Baez.
Totally agree. Totally agree. All right, we're a little past the halfway mark, and so I want to talk a little bit PGA. We got to get your picks in, and then we're going to go to the top 10 Major League Baseball players.
Oh, I got it all done. It was painful.
Yeah, I bet it was. We'll save that for last.
Had to leave some family favorites off the team. Had to be fair. Had to give my right opinion, not my favorite opinion.
That's good. But let's
writing notes right now to my former friends.
Former friends.
that I used to have in my top 10.
Yeah, I bet. Let's talk first about the PGA Championship tournament that begins tomorrow.
Did I sound excited?
Yeah, a lot of people are leaving the chat room.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's nothing new. Hold on. Golf odds. I got the PGA. We're ready to go, baby.
Okay. It is the PGA Championship over at Bethpage. I think that's out in New York State. It is a long course, and so the long hitters could have some advantages in this championship. And this is the first time they played the championship in May, I think, ever. They've moved it. It was historically the last of the four majors. Now they've moved it to second, so I'm not sure that factors into anything. But it should be a very interesting tournament, particularly now that Tiger Woods is coming off his first major in many, many years. Can he win his second straight major, Mike?
It would be something if he did, wouldn't it?
Oh, my gosh, yes.
It would be unbelievable if he did. Here's how I do this, just like I did with the Kentucky Derby. Only I got to do a different type of system. I go from 16 to 1 to 30 to 1. So when it starts tomorrow, I'll have bets in on Ricky Fowler at 16 to 1, John Rahm at 8 to 1, 18 to 1, Justin Rose at 18 to 1, Francesco Molinari at 20 to 1, Bryson DeChambeau 25 to 1, Jason Day 25 to 1, Xander Schauffele at 25 to 1, Tommy Fleetwood at 25 to 1, George Spieth at 30 to 1, Tony Finau at 30 to 1. Now there's a bunch of guys behind him, 40, 50, 60. Forget about those. Those are the guys that get up in the morning tomorrow and say, I just hope I make the cut. But the guys from 16 to 30, good golfers, tournament tested, winners that can just get the game together, even though, you got guys like Tiger Woods at 8 to 1 and Dustin Johnson at 10 to 1 and Rory at 12 to 1. Hey, those are great odds. But that's not the way I do it. I do it just like I did with the Kentucky Derby, and it's been successful for me in the past.
Phil Mickelson at 80 to 1, Mike. What happened to Phil?
Well, you know what? I don't think has he ever won the PGA? I get them mixed up. The U.S. Open or the PGA? I forget which one. Maybe somebody could check on the chat board or something. I get one of the ones. I think it's the U.S. Open that he's never won. But 80 to 1 means you're, which is shocking because Tiger's like 12 to 1. And at times Phil has had better game than Tiger, so there must be a problem. Must be an injury. Maybe he doesn't play well at Bethpage.
Yep. He has won 44 events on the PGA Tour, including 5 major championships, 3 Masters titles, a PGA championship in 2005, and a U.S. Open in 2013. And I agree with you. This has to be because he's just in a slump and maybe not physically 100%, because those odds for a guy who has won so many championships is kind of...
Oh, he's never won a British Open.
Yes.
That's the only one he hasn't won.
That is correct. Another player who is at long odds, let me find him here, at 55 to 1 is Bubba Watson. I think he's only won 1 major, but he is a super
long... No, he's won 2 Masters.
2 Masters. I'm sorry. You're right.
Which is phenomenal when you think about it, because I don't know what's wrong with him.
Yeah.
I mean... Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Here, I'll give you another guy. And the press was kissing his butt today on the Golf Channel. I was watching it. Jordan Spieth.
Right,
Quit
another
kissing
guy.
his ass. Tell him he sucks. He knows it.
Yes.
I mean, these guys are unbelievable. I've been having trouble lately. Maybe a little bit of a slump. But tell us a little bit about it, will you please? No, why can't you win anymore? You're one away from the Grand Slam. Come on.
Yeah.
From the career Grand Slam. What's your problem?
Yeah.
Man.
He reminds me.
Machado, these guys.
He reminds me a little bit, Jordan Spieth does, of David Duval, who had that excellent start. Everybody thought he and Tiger were going to be battling out for decades and so forth. And then now, David Duval, I don't think he's won a major.
No, he's an analyst now. George's already better than that guy ever was.
Wow.
You know, I remember they said he burnt his hand on a teacup, and I go, the guy drinks tea, forget about it. Anyway, you want to talk about an overrated drink?
How about
Really? If I was in the desert, and they go, we got some tea. Now, iced tea ain't bad. All right? But here, have some hot tea. It's the worst. It's the worst. The worst. Iced tea's great with lemon tea, though. You know?
Yeah.
It's got to have a little flavor. Regular tea, I don't know. I mean, are you a big tea guy?
No, I am not at all. Unless if it's got booze, I might try it.
Oh, God. Man, have some hot tea. No thanks. Where's the cyanide? Mike, it's got to be a better option. Anyway, Jordan Spieth quit kissing his butt. I like these guys. It worked for me for the Kentucky Derby with the 65-1 horse. Go with it. And, you know, by the way, I got a nice check from my guys at Vegas Scores and Odds for the picks that I make. Not only do they take care of our show as our great sponsor, but I want to thank them very much for having faith in me. And it's been going great, and I appreciate it. 1-800-808-3419 is the number. 1-800-808-3419 for a free pick. I 2-0 yesterday. I've been on fire 25-14 the last month, 7-4 this week. Check out the homepage, VegasScoresandOdds.com. Check out the board, folks, and then give that call. Give that number a call, 1-800-808-3419, just to see what they say. Grab a pick. But if you go to me, you'll be able to quit that job at Subway. You'll be able to quit that job, any job. A secretariat job, or a nurse, doctor. Come on, come with me. I'll lure you in. Aldo has been an eyewitness to what he could have had.
I have. That's
Don't
true.
make the same mistake.
We have
1-800-808-3419. But they've been great to us, and Aldo and I appreciate VegasScoresandOdds.com. I started with them. Left them for a bit, came back. It's been a great association. A lot of Chicago people go to that site. I love them.
Yeah, just go over to VegasScoresandOdds.com and check out the website. Fish around there. Have some fun looking at what they've got posted there. It is a good stuff.
Look at the front page and go, that Mike's something else.
Yeah.
Is there anything else he thinks he can't do? That's all.
That's right, exactly.
That's it.
All right, having said that, it is time for...
Anthem.
I love the way that starts. It announces Mike North's arrival to the gambling table. He's going to have some picks for you, and they're free, no charge. What better podcast offers that? The hottest handicapper in the business, giving you 3 free picks. Mike North, how are you, my friend? Almost like the beginning of the show.
I tell you what, Aldo, we've never had a day where we were shut down. I've only had one in the last year and a half, and that was about 4 weeks ago in the Odds Couple, and since that time I've been 60% the last 3 weeks. I was pissed about that, but you know what? We got back on our feet. Everything's good, and I got 3 great picks brought to you by the great folks at Vegas Scores and Odds. Check them out, folks, VegasScoresandOdds.com. Give them a call. Check out all the great guys. And when I talk about Vegas Scores and Odds, I talk about the handicappers on that site. You got John Anthony, Dennis Macklin, Tony Sacco, Ray Monahan, all the guys. Hollywood. I mean, they're all there. They're all there. And I'm there.
The best.
And you know what? I'm not going to say I'm better than anybody, but
I'll say it.
look at the board. Now let's move on. Anyway, Aldo's going, okay, we got them out of the way for now. They're wonderful to us. And I hope to God now you don't go into another soliloquy on something else, because now it's time for the picks.
All right.
What happened to the music? Is it still playing, or
It's
did it
there.
die? There it is!
I want to make sure they hear you. Everybody in the chat room is saying, can you give us three winners, or at least one? Heart 4803 is wondering if the
At
Blues.
least one.
Yeah.
First of all, my friend, we have had winning weeks almost every week, but we give more than one. Aldo and I are giving out three.
That's right.
Hey, first of all, the NBA tonight, folks. This is why we have the show on early. Toronto. The Toronto Raptors playing the Toronto Raptors tonight playing the Milwaukee Bucks. Over under 218. The Bucks minus 6.5. Toronto covers tonight, plus the 6.5. Number one. There's one pick for you. Okay?
Got it.
Write that down, Aldo. You got it. Toronto plus 6.5. But also the over 218 in that game. This is stuff. This is like Michael Jordan giving a private clinic for your kid. That's what it's like. I mean, I got the Milwaukee Brewers right now. And Vegas scores or not, so they're happy. And I got in sales, and on that number, somebody may get the San Jose game. I gave them that game in hockey tonight. So everybody's happy. But Toronto and the over is one of the picks. Then you go, well, Mike, what's your third pick? This is simple. It's easy. It's Colorado tonight. The Rockies, ladies and gentlemen. Shut down yesterday. They're playing a tough team tonight. They're playing the Boston Red Sox, minus 149. I like the plus 1.5, minus 160. So go with the Rockies, go with Toronto, and go with the over in the Toronto game in the NBA. Aldo, back to you.
Wow, that was awesome.
There goes the music. I love it.
Heart 4803 was hoping you'd give him a clue on that Blues game tonight. They're minus 145, but that's not going to happen. I got a inkling that the Blues are going to get back into that series. What is it? They're down 1-0. Is it, Harp? Let me know. Heart 4803.
I'm only going to say this. I'm not doing anything with the game.
Okay.
But if I was going to, and I'm looking at it only because I love you guys, and I'm just going to give this. The Blues right now are minus 145. The system had nothing on this game. I looked. I tried. It's a game. I hate this cliche. It can go either way. You know? I hate that so much. I don't even like to give that kind of... But it's really what we're talking about here. All the games have been close, at least in this series. So I hope the Blues win, but I wouldn't touch it.
All right. It's a non-touch, Harp. But Harp is very...
Well, Harp can do whatever he wants. Harp can do whatever he wants.
Well,
I sort of... right now, though, if I was going to... See, this is where... If we're guessing, I like San Jose tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I like San Jose getting it's 143. I like them plus the 133 on the 10-cent line, baby.
Mm-hmm. Well, he loves your pick in the Bucks game and says that
No.
You got Toronto plus 6, right? He loves that pick.
I know he does. Yeah. I'm not saying Harper's giving me the kiss of death. I love him. Hopefully we're both right. He's not going to forget Monday. He'll remind me when we do the Mike North Advantage.
There you go.
Right.
All right, let's turn our attention to Major League Baseball. The top 10 players of Mike North, the top 10 players, the greatest players on his list. I am dying to hear who you got on this list because this is so tough. I mean, this is a really, really tough exercise. So let's.
Well, I decided to do something different and not be predictable, which I'm surprised. But I also don't like the fact that baseball wasn't integrated during Gehrig and Ruth and Cobb.
I agree.
Walter Johnson and Cy Young and all these other guys. So basically, I'll explain every pick to everybody. I'll start from 10.
Okay.
You don't have any sound effects tonight, do you?
No, that last.
Like that one you had? Do you have one that goes brrr, like a belch, like 10, like you did last time? Remember that one?
Yes, I do. No more sound effects.
All right. So what I decided to do, though, is unique. I decided to do a position team. So I had to keep some powerhouses off. I'll tell you who didn't make my team. Frank Robinson, Ernie Banks, Lou Gehrig, Mike Schmidt. You know, players like that.
Great players.
Great players. And Mickey Mantle didn't make my team.
The Mickey didn't make it, huh?
Didn't make the team.
Now, I'll tell you this, Mike, if he would have led a cleaner life, had a cleaner lifestyle, he probably would have been a top 2, 3 in your list.
He hit under 300. He stuck around a little too long. He was injured. He was great. He's in the top 15.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 500 home runs. He was a switch hitter.
Right.
MVP, but he didn't make the team.
Right.
Number 10, Cal Ripken. He's going to play shortstop for me.
I like
He
it.
hit 276 lifetime, 431 home runs. He was the first big guy, to play short. Ernie Banks almost got in, 2-time MVP, but Ernie's on-base percentage was dreadful. Ripken, 431 homers, but here's the thing. He could play third, and he could play short for me, and he's not going to miss a game.
Oh, man.
So he was my number 10.
Nicknamed the Iron Man. He got into the Hall of Fame with a 98.53% first ballot. That guy has to be in a top 10 list, no doubt about it.
Yeah, right behind Harold Baines. Just right behind Harold Baines, no doubt. Okay, so he's my shortstop. Okay, then number 9. He plays second base for me, ladies and gentlemen. And every other guy in this team hits 300 except Cal Ripken with a 276 lifetime average. He plays second base for me. The 9th best player of all time, and I had to be on, is Pete Rose, who hit 303 lifetime, 256 hits, but even stronger was Pete played 5 different positions. So if you need him at third, he could play third. You need him at first, he could play first. He played left. He played right. And he was good at all of them. So not only is he going to hit the ball for you, but he can play 5 different positions. Do you agree with that assessment, my friend?
I love him on the top 10 list. I absolutely love him. 4,800. Where is it? I lost it. 4,256 hits. And here's another thing about Pete Rose. Joe Madden just recently said about Javi Baez that he's the guy in Major League Baseball that is the most entertaining to watch. During Pete Rose's playing time, he was the most entertaining player to watch because even when he was walked, he would sprint. I mean, at full speed down to first base. This guy was nicknamed Charlie Hustle. He was a joy to watch, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, and believe me, he was my favorite player to watch. And when he was in for the Reds, I used to go. And then we became buddies later on, so it was beautiful. Number 8, Rod Carew. The man averaged 200 hits a season, hit 328 lifetime, okay, and had 3,053 hits.
All of our listeners in Panama are going crazy. They are grateful that you've got Rod Carew at number 8 on your list. Really well done.
I put Pete Rose at third. I got Rod Carew at second. That was my bad. So we got Cal Ripken, Pete Rose, Rod Carew. These were the guys that when they used to play against the Sox or Cubs, I was terrified when they were up the bat. That they'd do something good. Even Ripken. He was a clutch hitter. Number 7. What a player this guy was. George Brett.
George Brett, absolutely. Great name.
305 lifetime, 337 in the postseason. 3,154 hits.
And who can ever forget that moment when he charged the umpire because he was thrown out of the game for having too much rosin or pine tar on his bat? That was just a great baseball moment.
You just go for the negatives right away. Right off the bat, the guy had one incident his whole life out of 20 years, made 20-some All-Star games. Beautiful man, lovely, and then Aldo. Remember that time? But you're on Aldo, you're right. That's it. It's going to be in his top 3 all time.
Oh, yeah.
Number 6, Willie Mays.
Oh, yes. I love Willie, the say-hey kid.
302 lifetime average, 660 home runs, and 3,283 hits. And Aldo's going, God, this Mike really did his homework. He's got everything down. It's unbelievable. So what do you think? Willie in center field, and then
I love it.
Hank Aaron.
Oh, yeah. Hammering Hank at number 5.
First base. He plays first base, 305, 755 home runs, 200. Listen to this stat. Hank Aaron had 240 stolen bases. A guy that hit 750. You would never see that today, ever, from a home run hitter. They're afraid you're going to get hurt. They're afraid. What's the sense? Let somebody else steal. That's pretty good, Aldo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he played 24 years, so he averaged like almost 18, 19 stolen bases a year, besides being one of the most consistent players who ever lived.
Yep. Totally correct. And let me tell you something about the. You haven't caught up.
Cowboy. Here, let me just introduce you to Cowboy McClain. Yep, he's one of the best. I gotta do it. I just wait for the right moment. It's like magic. So what were you going to say, my friend?
Just that Willie celebrated a birthday recently. He's 88 years old, and Hammering Hank, God bless him, is still with us too. So I love this list so far. Let me just catch people up to date. You got Cal Ripken at number 10. You got Pete Rose at number.
Stop. Pete Rose has said, I screwed this whole thing up. I got it down now. Believe me, I'm not going to screw up again.
Okay.
Cal Ripken is number 10.
Right.
Okay. He's playing short.
Okay.
Okay. I think. I got Pete Rose in left. I got Rod Carew. I got George Brett at third. Rod Carew at second. Willie Mays in center. Hank Hammer and Hank at first.
Okay. And now we're on to pick number 4. Who do you got?
Tony Gwynn.
Oh, wow. That's a shocker.
You know what his lifetime average is?
I don't off the top of my head.
338.
Wow, that's pretty damn good. He's the Rogers
Very
Hornsby.
damn good. 338. Listen to this. He struck out in like 20 years only 434 times.
Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing.
Adam Dunn did that in 1 year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony Gwynn had 3,141 hits. But you don't hear him named. I'm not buying these old-timers, okay? Play against everybody if you want me to include you, except one guy. I haven't gotten to him yet, okay?
Okay. I got it.
Now we need a pitcher, right?
Oh, yes. Definitely need a pitcher.
Warren Spahn.
Oh, my goodness.
363 wins in the modern era. 245 losses. Okay? 3.05 ERA. Okay?
Right.
But are you ready for this?
Tell me.
He won 20 games when he was in his 40s, and he had 382 complete games in his career.
Wow. That is unbelievable. And
this is new, man. Warren Spahn was a beast.
Yes,
he was a beast. And then the next guy is my relief pitcher.
Okay.
Or my substitute outfielder.
Ooh.
Babe Ruth.
Oh, the Babe.
He's the only guy, man. He could have played against anybody. That's just the way it went. Mm-hmm. It's not his fault. 342 lifetime hitter, 714 home runs. He pitched one season, Babe Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
At an ERA of 1.71, I think he was 17-6.
So
he was unbelievable.
Do you think that Babe Ruth would have led the majors in home runs if he was in the prime of his career and playing in today's game?
Well, you got to remember the balls they used were like my mother's. What do you call them things that you use? Like my mother's gloves. You know,
right.
You wrap rubber band. I mean, teams were hitting 29 home runs, and the ball was like a boxing glove, and he was hitting the ball out of the park at 61 home runs.
Yeah.
So if the lively ball was around, oh my God,
could have been special.
Like today, and he'd be in better shape.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, everything's better now, you know?
Yeah. I mean, he was a guy who was a known womanizer. He'd be eating hot dogs in the dugout, hungover the first few innings of a game. This guy.
What a wonderful life.
Exactly. This guy did everything that you're not supposed to do.
All the guys are at home listening to us with their hands down on their undercarriage, just looking for attention.
True. So we're on pins and needles here, wondering who is your number one overall player.
Stan Musial.
Oh, a Cardinal of all things.
331 lifetime. 3,630 hits. He had 1,215 hits. If you look at it, at 3,630 hits, he had the same amount of hits on the road as he did at home. He had 495 home runs, was only 5 short. Played right field, could play first base. The guy was just consistent, 331 off them. So I got Musial, Babe, Warren Spahn, Tony Gwynn, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, George Brett, Rod Carew, Pete Rose, and Cal Ripken. Pretty good? You like it? You like it?
I love the list. I have to agree with Kevin in the chat room that Roberto Clemente should be on that list, but I understand why not.
Team. He didn't make the team. I kept Lou Gehrig off, for God's sake.
Lou Gehrig and...
I left Lou Gehrig off.
Uh-huh.
So we're going to worry about Roberto? I love Roberto. But he wasn't as good as these guys.
Yeah.
As Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, or Stan Musial. He wasn't. He had 3,000 hits. I know his life was cut short.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's the breaks. There's nothing you can do.
That's right.
He was a great player.
NB in the chat room says that if you got to pick a Cardinal player, why not Bob Gibson? He'd be a great starter for you.
Because Warren Spahn hit 363 wins.
Yeah.
Warren Spahn had a 16-inning game against Juan Marichal that me and Aldo have even talked about, the 1-0 game. Warren Spahn was a monster. Look up his stats, folks.
Well,
look him up.
Here's what I remember about Warren Spahn was that old poem that said something like "Spahn and Sane and pray for rain." Sane, I think it was the center fielder of the team, and those guys were No,
Spahn and Sane, he was the pitcher too.
Oh,
Spahn and Sane and pray for rain, but they also had Lou Burdette. They had some great pitching. I mean, the Braves of the 50s were great. They won a couple World Series. Come on. Eddie Matthews was off the team. That guy was a great third baseman. Mike Schmidt. I left a lot of great players off the team. Bob Gibson, I love him. Sandy Koufax.
Baseball.
I mean, I left these guys off the team.
Baseball history right here at the Mike North Advantage. Fun stuff, Mike.
Oh, yeah, baby. You know what? Vegas scores and odds. I'll tell you what. We take care of them. They take care of us, folks. Remember, follow them at VSAO, and dial them up at 1-800-808-3419. That's Vegas Scores and Odds. Yeah, by the way, what'd you think of Zion? I mean, to New Orleans.
Well, I was going to ask you that. What do you do if you're in New Orleans? What do you do with brain cramp here on
Anthony Davis?
Anthony Davis. Do you trade him? Do you keep him?
I try to keep him, man.
Right?
Look, you know what he said the other day? He goes, "Well, I might want to play at New York if they get some players around me." Do you think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said that when they sent him to Milwaukee? No. My God, he had a nice team. He had Oscar Robertson, who was aging. He had John McLaughlin. He had Bob Dandridge, but they won a world championship. He didn't say, "Well, I need a bunch of guys around me." I mean, he just went and did it. Mm-hmm. That's Anthony Davis. If you're a franchise player, you're supposed to win on your own. And by the way, So what have I told everybody? Steph Curry's the best player in basketball. Aldo and I talked about it a week or two ago. Anybody that thinks that the Golden State Warriors needed Kevin Durant and the media, 80% of them, believe me, if you ask them what Kevin Durant's undercarriage smells like after a game, they'd say peanut butter with raspberry. I'm not kidding you. I mean, you know what their record is with Kevin Durant out of the lineup?
I think it's a pretty damn good record.
28-1.
Oh my God. It's crazy.
They lost one game with him out of the lineup, and I got to hear the nonsense that a guy who defected from one team to go with the championship team already is the best player in basketball. These guys are on a mission now to make the media look bad. Not Kevin Durant. It's not his fault that the media's made up of dopes.
Yeah, it's a special basketball team. Where do you rank them along with the Bulls dynasty team?
Right behind the Bulls.
Right behind them.
It's 70. Yeah, right behind the Bulls. Because you know what? If Durant, I think the Bulls, Jordan, Harper, Pippen, they could play today's game. But Durant would have gotten broken in half in the 80s.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, I'm not lying to people. You had hatchet men waiting for you on every team.
Oh, my gosh. It was
a different ball game.
Yeah, for you young bloods out there.
There was no, you know what they do, Aldo? They go up the middle now. They drive up the middle and make layups. In the playoffs, you never saw that in the 80s and 70s. Ever.
Yep. Dub is saying that was also in the 90s, that hatchet style of basketball. And, of course, it was. Jordan and Pippen, those guys were victimized so often.
Detroit almost killed them.
Oh, my gosh.
It started to turn around 90, 91 because it was the bad boys that really started it in the 80s.
Right, and the league let them get away with it, and it was unconscionable what the NBA league, because the bad boys had created a brand that some fans really gravitated to, and so they let the Pistons and then the Knicks play this,
they abused Michael Jordan.
Oh, my gosh. It was just ridiculous.
They abused the guy, and you know what? But he abused them. He took it away from them. But you're right. And Pat Riley, he's the biggest crybaby of them all about it. Then when he went to the Knicks, they did the same thing with Anthony Mason.
Exactly.
And Charles Oakley and all those guys. So you're right. The chessboard was right. Into the 90s, it went.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I really was upset with the league that they would allow their superstar basketball players to be physically assaulted the way those teams did to the Bulls. And I'm not saying that as a homer. I'm just saying that from a good business sense. You got to protect your players, all of them, whether they're superstars or not, and you cannot allow that kind of fouling. It just does not make sense. And I'm glad that the league has made some moves towards better officiating. It's still not perfect, far from it, but let's protect all of the players in the NBA and not have these stupid fouls.
Yeah, the rules things was good. By the way, did you see my guy Jesse Jackson with Zion yesterday?
No, I missed that.
Where oh, God, it's hilarious. They had it at the Hilton, there's Jesse with them. I go, kid, don't walk, run. I'm just saying right now, but it was a good draft. It was a fun draft to watch. And the Knicks fans, you were only 14% chance anyway. They're doomed for life too. The Knicks never have any. At least we had Jordan. They are doomed.
Yeah, and I got to tell our listeners that you and the Reverend Jesse Jackson have a long history of interesting debates.
Seriously, I love the man. I do.
Yeah, I know you do.
Jesse and I are buddies. I like Jesse. He's a good guy.
Yeah, but you guys have gone at it a few times.
Time to grasp on a little bit to some ideas I had, but what are you going to do? Some things take time.
That is so true. All right, let's play the closing music here.
Good job, Aldo. We had fun today.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. And I just want to say I want to thank ESPN, CBS2 Chicago, and Major League Baseball for the clips. And I want to tell all our listeners that we've already provided over 5 hours of free entertainment here at the Ballroom Network, and we have more for you. Bears 100 Proof will be back later this week with a very special mystery guest host. And don't forget to follow Mike on Twitter. It's North 2 North, at North, the number 2 North, and also follow us on Twitter at Bears Barroom. We also have a Facebook account. Mike North, it's always a blast talking sports with you.
Oh, I'll tell you what else I got. You know what I got? I have a stream.
I love
we cannot forget Tooch. I have a stream. My guys. Aldo, I love you, brother.
I love you too. We'll talk to you soon.